What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'll be making a full review for the Romancing Festival Joker banner that brings Joker, a strong damage dealer but berserk-type. Emelia, back to guns, now she offers support for Overdrive Gauge, and Fuse, a boss specialist that will help with morale down effects. Well, let's start talking about Joker. He's a newcomer, but actually no. Spoilers ahead, Joker is Ren from SaGa Frontier 1 from Emelia's storyline. Well, he was actually a martial arts in the past, now he's wielding rapiers, and he has very big focus on damage. 120% dexterity, it's pretty high, 106% agility because he's also a farmer, he does have some intelligence because of one attack, his will is good, but endurance is kinda bad. Well, for passes we have Hide and Seek. On the end of a turn we have a 50% chance to cleanse from status ailments. And it's a strange thing because, well, why would you want to cleanse with a chance? Many characters have that as a guarantee. Let me check my camera here. And, well, it's because he has a berserk status, and to kind of balance that, they wanted him to have a chance to clear the ailments instead of just guarantee the clear. Well, we'll talk more about that later. And when all allies are surviving, he has a 50% chance to evade any sort of enemy attack. Because his endurance is kinda bad, well, he wants to rely on evasion more often than not. Now, the second passive is called Lunatic, and we have plenty of effects here. First, weak attack damage increases by 30%, and when landing a weak attack, he recovers 1 BP. He also gets 10% heat up, for a max of 5 times in battle, so that it reaches 50%. But it has a negative effect. He will also grant himself defense down, that will last for 2 turns, decreasing his defense by 10%, and he even stacks negatively. So, you will receive 20% more damage with this character because of so many different effects on the same passive. It's a counterbalance, but it doesn't make much sense. We have characters with such an amazing passives like, well, we'll talk about Emelia in a few. And in the end, fired up 7, increasing damage at all times by 40%. So, this guy has 70% when attacking weak targets, and, well, you are going to bring him to attack weak targets. He gets 40 per turn when he's attacking weak targets, and after stacking 5 hit-ups, he reaches 120% damage increase, with a very high dexterity. That means that he's going to do good damage. But I don't know if his design is good enough to, well, replace other nukers that we have. Now, the first skill is called Trick Pierce. For 2 BP, you have a single target attack that will hit 2 times, random. So it can be the same target, it can be different targets. If you are facing just one enemy, well, this will always land the attack on that enemy. There is a chance to debuff the enemy's endurance by up to 50% on max level. This skill itself is very similar to normal attack, but double normal attack is actually pretty strong. It should be close to end of a power damage. So for 2 BP, actually pretty nice. Even if he does not land the endurance debuff, if he does, it will be 30% endurance debuff. Well, it's not the best type of way to increase your damage output, but if you already have other ways to increase, like morale up, status buff, this is just yet another way to increase damage potential if the enemy does not have very high will, because remember, 86 may not be enough. Now, skill number 2 is called Cruel Dance. For 8 BP, you have a column attack that also hits 2 times. This time, you can choose a target and it will always attack that target 2 times. So, well, if the enemies are aligning in a row, you can attack them 2 times. It will have a chance to debuff both endurance and dexterity by also 15%. 2 times. That means that 30% endurance and 30% dexterity. The value is actually pretty nice. And the power is C. That means that when you attack 2 times with C power, you actually have like double S power. There is a version of Darky, this one here, that has Bloody Harvest. It's an attack with Pierce and Shadow that hits a column, 8 PP cost, very similar power in the end. Of course, Darky does not have so much damage passives, but he buffs himself dexterity with 2 different passives, and you can even just buff it further by inheriting stab in the back before you actually land these column attacks. So pretty nice, and it's good to see that Joker has an attack that can act as a single target as well. 8 PP cost for something that hits for double S power with 2 different debuffs, it's not bad. Again, his intelligence may not be enough to actually land this on very hard challenges. Now, the last skill is called Madness for 10 PP and also 1 LP. You get a 4S attack, so it deals pierce and shadow damage. It's also fast, and will grant himself a heat up of large effect, increasing his damage by 15% for the whole fight. It's random, you don't know if you have many enemies which one he will target, but if there's only one enemy, it will always be the same. And when he uses Madness, he will also recover a random amount of PP between 1 to 10. Well, that's pretty massive. It's similar to how Eagle Maul works, and she actually uses this on an AoE attack for farming, but also for boss fights when there are multiple targets. In this case, it's different. You are only attacking one enemy, and you are getting this heat up effect, but the penalty comes here. You enter a berserk stance that lasts for 4 turns. That means that you lose control over the character, but you do have 50% chance of regaining that control on the end of the same turn, and then you will be able to issue a new command over the next turn. And, well, if you got enough PP, that means at least 6, because he gets 4 by attacking a weak target, you will be able to use Madness again, right after. So, it's strong, yes, especially because it's fast. But you rely on RNG in order to cleanse and get control over the character. But okay, in the case you didn't cleanse with that 50% chance, what exactly Berserk does? It will choose a random skill, and that's it. You can actually use Madness again, you have 33% chance, or Cruel Dance, or Trick Pierce. It's actually not that good if you think that, well, you could be using the best attack, but I guess that all of his attacks have good damage if you are against only one enemy. If you are against many enemies, it becomes a mess. But then you have, again, 50% chance to cleanse on the next turn, and then you can issue a new command. But for the first 5 turns, Joker is very fragile. He does not have any damage reduction passive, and he's totally gonna die against very hard challenges. And I can assure you that, unless you bring a lot of defensive support, and even then he's gonna be the one that's gonna take most damage in the party. And even when he actually gets to do his design of attacking with Madness and cleansing and attacking with that again, I wonder if he's really gonna do that much damage. Just relying on heat up will not make him the best nuker. We have characters that do something different. Because we can compare him again to Dark, because he's the closest comparison, where you have this version that buffs Dexterity 2 times in a turn and can even buff 3 times by inheritance of Stab in the back, reaching very good damage potential without having to, well, deal with Berserk or with the guard down effects. Or you can just use the Global X Dark that has high protect tension, and while it does not self-buff with passives, it does apply defense down to increase the damage to the party. And also, Stab in the back buffs on Dexterity 2 you choose to start nuking with something like Instant Kill, well, be careful with that, or with Golden Note Plus, or even Mega Thrust Plus. It's an easier way to do damage, and Dark is still very good. But when we compare him to someone like Chooser that goes for pierce damage, well, Chooser is much better, because Cloud Ejection gives 3 bullets, and every time that he attacks, he has 37% chance to heal himself, he buffs 5% of all status, and he does have defense up 3 times on the fight. So Chooser will always beat Joker no matter what happens. And you don't get anything from inheritance. Maybe if you have his first limited style, there's Mirage Kick Plus to use him as an STR buffer, but he loses to Eagle Maul as an STR buffer, and she's much better than him. She can revive, even. Now, when thinking about Joker as a farmer, Madness is strong, and then he would just keep using Trick Pierce on auto. For raids, or just events with only one enemy, the damage will be very nice. If you want to attack a column of enemies, okay, Cruel Dance will do big damage, but he's not as good as Dark, because Dark can attack 2 times with either critical attacks or by inheriting in another style. So, for 2 waves, Cruel Dance does not work. Now, I don't think Joker is a very good investment. There's no future style, and for inheritance, I only think Mirage Kick kind of works, because it's a 3BP skill that can debuff STR with a chance, but all the other attacks don't make much sense to me. There is while the rest they could have helped it because it gives stealth, but the cost is too high, 9 BP. So in the end, he's just here to try to cycle his berserk stance, cleanse itself, try to use the attack again, and cycle this as much as possible so that he gets the heat up. But remember that he only uses madness up to 5 times in battle, because he loses 1 LP. And if he dies, he loses another LP. That means that he can nuke less than, well, many other nukers. Because of that, I think Joker only deserves a plain SS grade in the tier list. The next character is Fuse, and he's now using clubs instead of guns. That is a baton, I guess. And, well, he has average STR and average dexterity, average agility, below average endurance and will, and, well, average intelligence. This guy became a hybrid and he lacks focus, and this kind of hurts him, to be honest. They wanted to give him everything, like high dexterity to inherit gun skills, high agility to still be a farmer, and good enough intelligence for something here and there, but, well, nothing here stands out. First passive is called Breath of Invigoration 1. When landing an attack, recovers HP by around 170s and recover 1 BP. This is a very old passive, and we are actually moving out from this for better stuff. The second one is called Investigation, and damage increases by 15%, and when he's directly attacked, he reduces damage and will counterattack with Hard Strike. Hard Strike is a single target attack with B power that has a chance to buff Intelligence by 10% because you cannot rank this up, and also has a chance to inflict Paralyze. Let me tell you here. Well, Paralyze for clubs, it's not a hair. We can even use the Mayor for Rio Queen in the future when we get more stages. His intelligence is not big enough to work on very hard challenges. And let me tell you, well, why do you want to debuff intelligence when you are directly attacked, since the enemy is actually using STR or dexterity or STR and agility? Makes no much sense, unless that enemy is hybrid, sometimes attacks with direct, sometimes attack with spells, but then again, it will not be on full potential, because when that enemy uses spells, you cannot count. The damage is also pretty bad, so I don't see much value on this. Then we have Great Block Tension, that increases damage resistance by 25% and increases damage potential by 30. It's his only damage passive and looks like he was designed some months ago. Now, skill number 1 is called Blast Heal. This is actually a very good skill with C power and 3 BP cost. That means he can use it anytime, and recovers his HP by around 900. Well, the second skill is called Swinging Blow. For 5 BP, you have a column attack with 8 power and 28 mod. Well, looking back, most AoE attacks with 28 mod started costing like 12 BP. Till they were decreasing, and now we have some with 8, some with 9. So by having only 5 BP for a column attack, if the enemies are aligned in a column, you always choose a column attack instead of a full AoE one, since you can actually use this 3 times in a row for events or story farming. But in events, he will not be capable of soloing. For story farming, maybe a very specific stage with a strong weapon will allow him to solo farm. But, well, this Swinging Blow attack reminds me a little of Mask in his Resonance Strike. Mask does not have damage increase, then even having a higher power will still do similar damage. In his case, he can only use this 2 times in a row for, well, events, but in the story farming he does not work so well. Remember that also Fuse gets 4 BP per turn, he can use this as much as he wants, but I don't see many instances where this will be so helpful. Now, skill number 3 is called Suppression Assault. For 90 BP you have a full AoE attack with 8 power, blunt damage, and when the attack lands, and it will not fail much because dexterity is pretty high, he will apply Morale Down Medium to all targets, decreasing damage by 25%. Well, 25% is actually the highest value for Morale Down now, and we have someone capable of doing that as well, and that one is the latest version of Doll. This version of Doll has also 4 BP per turn, and has an AoE attack with 10 BP cost instead. So she has a little of a problem to keeping up with Morale Down Medium. Sometimes she will not be able to cast. In the case of Fuse, well, he will also have some problems. But if you bring someone like Nawal's Daughter or Global X, Rouge, you will give some BP to Fuse to have perfect cycles so that he does not stop casting Morale down, because this is his main gameplay, and he will use Blast Heal here and there when he totally needs to heal and you don't want to spend a dedicated spell on him. Well, I think there are some reasons to use this Suppression Assault if you miss it out on some support, but to be honest, this is not that good. We have Time, and Time gives much more volley. He has an 8 BP skill that gives Guard Up Medium. That increases resistance by 25%. It's exactly the same thing, but buffs 4 different status. He does not do damage, but why would you care? And, well, Time also heals on Overdrive, is a much better character, and he also uses clubs for Remembrance, so, well, we already have way too much support for Remembrance in clubs. Besides this point, when you want to decrease the damage from the enemies, you can also use something else, so like Final Impress Global X style. She already has Scrum Guard decreasing 20% at all times. Then you can inherit from the Christmas style Christmas Moon. That gives another 25%. Or you can just use the Christmas version and give Christmas Moon 25% and then keep using Holy Moon, for example. But she's less defensive than Fuse, so I prefer to use the Global X style instead. And another character that also decreases damage by a lot is Barbara. She has Allegria's Fascination that gives Defense Boost Medium 25%, Guard Up Medium 25%, and even increases resistance to ailments, and she can keep this 100% of the time. So if you have at least one of these styles, you really don't have much reason to use Fuse, because his damage is nothing great, and his support is not better than the ones I mentioned. As for inheritance, we have Proton Rocket Plus from his first limited style, but to be honest, the original Fuse has a chase with submachine gun, so in the end he actually deals more damage. There is at least Heart Regeneration, a 3BP skill that will heal even more, and give Guard Up, so I guess this is exactly the best inheritance. There is also Air Support that costs 13 BP for Morale Up Medium and S power damage. You can also inherit this if you feel like you don't need Heart Regeneration, and when you get to Overdrive you can save BP and use this to increase the damage of the party, but to be honest, 13 BP for Morale Up Medium barely makes any difference. In the end, the main gameplay of this version of Fuse is to just use Suppression Assault every time he can. Well, Fuse loses to many of our best supports. I don't think he offers enough to guarantee a slot in a boss fight. So, if you miss it out on some of these characters, he may work, but I don't really recommend pulling for him. I will only give him an SS- grade. This is also his latest style from JP. If he gets something, it will have to be Global X or in the very far future. And the last character is Emelia, and she's back on using guns. And I have to say that I really like her design. She does have a good enough dexterity, high agility, good enough will, but low endurance. She does have some STR as well because, well, she can inherit skills from the Pink Tiger style that uses martial arts. But I don't really like this style, the skills are not even important anyway. I think it was a waste to focus on STR. Well, in order to discuss Emelia, we need to start with the skills. First one, Sharp Shot Plus. For 1 BP you have C Power Attack with 15 mod. It's actually pretty strong, especially since weak attacks with guns do plenty of damage. But you actually want to save BP, that I'll discuss later. Second skill, Barrage Bullet. For 6 BP you have a single target attack with Blunt and Sun S Power 44 mod. That means that it's just around the corner of double S power, so for 6 BP it's strong enough. We're gonna get double S power attacks in the very near future, and that will be from Bounce Shot. It will become double S with 48 mod, but we are just too close and it's good enough. And the last attack is called Drive Energy Shot. Single target attack, 10 BP cost for Blunt and Sun triple S. Well, a little too costly, but it also buffs all other surviving allies OG Gauge by 15 points. But not herself. The skill only gives 12 points to Emelia because of the hit. You need 100 OD points to get to Overdrive. Normal attacks gives 25 points. When you take damage, you get 8 points. Usually, characters reach overdrive by turn 4. But Emelia may take more because Drive Energy Shot only builds 12 points. So there is a trick here. Passive number 1 is called Obsessive Pursuit. When you attack with any attack, even normal attacks, you have 25% chance to chase with Drive Energy Shot. So you will be building 12 points and giving more OG Gosh to your characters, but 25% chance is not that reliable. But when it happens, it will just allow you to get plenty of OG Gosh. And if you are using her with some characters like, well, Time, because Time heals when he reaches overdrive, or Mask, that does the same. He heals when he gets to overdrive, or even Sif, she gives Guard Up Medium when she reaches overdrive. So she pairs up well with these characters. But that's not just the full story. Emelia will also have something else. When she herself gets to overdrive, she will guarantee a chase with Drive Energy Shot. So let's say in the perfect scenario, you want to build overdrive with Emelia, you save Drive Energy Shot, and then you use it with 10 BP. Then you are going to get a second because of the chase. Each time you attack it, you also had 25% chance to chase again. Emelia can actually attack 4 times in overdrive, well, only 12.5% of the time, or something similar to that, but may happen. So she's gonna build a lot of overdrive. But I have to say that on average, you will get 2 usages of Drive Energy Shot, or 3. That's what you should be expecting. Then, if you want to use her the right way, Emelia needs to be used outside the full party, because if you are on overdrive and you are using this attack, you are not building anything, because it takes the end of the overdrive in order to receive more overdrive gauge. When you are attacking, your gauge is locked. So you just need to use her separately from the party. You can actually build up, let's say, your whole party to use overdrive on turn 4. Then on turn 5, Emelia is using overdrive by herself to allow your other remaining parties to get to overdrive faster. Maybe they reach that point by turn 6 now. So that's her main gameplay. But she has more in her pocket. Passive number 2 is called Action Switch. When she attacks with blunt attacks, she gets an attack boost increasing damage by 10% and recovers BP by 2. When she attacks with sun attacks, she gives herself defense boost and recovers her HP by around 170s. So for effects, this is the same passive we saw before on Mac Sword style. As you can see here, Action Switch, and also Darius. Darius was a very premium style, as you can see here. There's something else with Emelia. When she chases, she's going to trigger this again. And the good thing, you get more BP. When you are attacking on overdrive and getting your free version of Drive Energy Shot, you'll be getting all 4 effects again. And with more BP, you can use Drive Energy Shot more often, right? And the defense boost part is amazing. It's better than having our wall defense 6, because that gives 40% defense boost. Here we have 20 plus 20 plus 20 by turn 3. She needs to go before the enemy to have all the 3 stacks before it attacks, but her agility is actually pretty good. And getting BP a lot will allow her to just use the best cycles as possible. Healing a little here and there means that she does not need to be healed all that often. Now, the third skill is called Great Overtension. Increases damage at all times by 30%, 45% on combos, and 60% on overdrive. So, not bad. As a farmer, it kind of restricts her a little when compared to recent farmers. But now, let's talk about the cycles. You can just go with Barrage Bullet infinitely. You can use this many. But now let's talk about her gameplay cycles. You open the fight, you can just use Barrage Bullet, for example, to trigger both effects of Action Switch. You're going to get a 5 VP back, and the defense boost. Those are important things. If you get 5 BP per turn, then Barrage Bullet only wastes 1 BP, and the damage is good enough. Then you can actually use a normal attack, for example, and then Barrage Bullet. In this case, you are saving BP, because when you get to Overdrive with Emelia alone, you will be able to cast Drive Energy Shot, the free version, maybe another Chase because of her passive, and that will allow your party to reach OD Gauge faster. Nice. You can also choose something else. You can go with, for example, Drive Energy Shot by turn 1, then you will just use a normal attack and then go back to Drive Energy Shot. With this cycle, she would trigger the VP part all the time and the attack boost part, but the defense boost part and the heal will only happen on turn 1, 3, 5, 7, and like that. So she will be less defensive, having 20 plus 20 instead of 3 stacks, but at least she will be a better OD Gauge booster. See, those are the two main gameplays with Emelia, and both will kind of ignore Sharp Shot, because even 1 BP is kind of a waste, because you want to use Blunt and Sun and want to have the Drive Energy Shot always available on Overdrive. But I still don't know if I would bring Emelia too often, because sometimes you have a need of a tank, then a need of 2 buffers, then someone to increase the resistance to damage or ailments, and then a nuker. Emelia doesn't always have a slot available in the party, but if she makes your time better or your mask better and they heal more often, then maybe you can replace someone from the party. Now, as for inheritances, we can think about the Perfector style. Sweet Hit is a 9 VP skill, single target, double S power, and cleanses the party and heals around 170s. That's good enough if you want to bring her for Remembrance Battle. She will give you some good support there. You can also just inherit Bullet Dance from the Lethal Commando style. Because you get 5 EP per turn by using Blunt, she can actually use this many times. And if you get to Overdrive and you don't need to build OD, you can just use Bullet Dance for damage. In the end, this reaches triple S potential. And I don't think there's anything else that really matters too much for her. Pink Tiger does not really help. So this is all about Emelia. We have 2 different usages of trying to keep all her passives up, or to build up Overdrive on the start of the fight, or when she's on a dedicated turn, to allow people that rely on OD to trigger special effects. We're going to get more characters in the near future. So Emelia is an interesting character, and I do believe she deserves an SS Plus grade, and I will be checking to see if she affects how we tackle content from now on. The best character of the banner, still I don't think it's reason enough to go full for 4,000 or 5,000 gems. I may wait for a rerun, since I am very confident with my party at the current moment. Now back to the banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? Not much. I will be giving this a bronze award, sadly, because Joker design is very reliant on RNG. And let's say you are fighting a hard challenge and he just dies, you have to restart, and that is annoying. He can work for farming, but there are so many different options as well. Fuse is okay, he does offer some good support, but nothing stellar. Very easy to skip. Now Emelia offers something interesting and unique that combos well with specific characters that are very good, but being the only character that really shows something special decreases the value of the banner itself. Emelia is a popular character, so I know some people will be pulling. I will skip and think about this on a rerun, because, well, I don't think it's worth to chase a single character with 45,000 gems if you are not spending in the game. With all that said, this is my opinion. What is yours? Please see here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and if you want to support the channel, there are links in the description. I hope to see you soon in the next video. Bye.